Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bourbon Note. I'm Greg.
I'm Ben.
And today, we're drinking a whiskey. Hi Ben, you like gladiator movies?
You ever been in a Turkish prison?
You ever seen a grown man naked?
Does that have anything to do with the bourbon we're about to drink? Is this a bourbon or is it a whiskey?
Well,
You
so
said whiskey.
hold on. The truth of the matter is, I've never been to Colorado.
What?
I've never been to Colorado.
Oh.
This is as close as I've come to Colorado. Well, in truth, I flew through the airport, and so I've been in the airport there.
Oh, you're missing out. Colorado's a great state.
No, I know. I'm sorry I missed it so far.
Yeah.
But the best we can do is one of their whiskeys.
Okay.
This happens to be Old Elk Distillery.
Bam.
It is a
Old Elk
Wheat.
straight wheat whiskey. All right.
mash bill, 95% wheat, 5% malted barley.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Zero corn.
I've never had one of their products before, so I always just assumed it was a bourbon when I've seen it on the shelf, and I've meant to pick one up actually.
Well, they have four expressions. They have a rye, they have a bourbon.
Is it wheated bourbon then, I'm assuming?
They have a wheated bourbon.
Oh, okay, that's probably what I saw.
And then they have a high wheat bourbon, and I don't know, I forget. It was the fourth.
Interesting.
Anyway,
But this is just a wheat whiskey, so
This is a-
95% wheat, you said?
and that is supposedly really unique.
Okay.
Normally, wheat whiskeys are not 95-0 because, or 95-5. 95-0 is
Yeah.
not so good.
They don't do the whole thing, they just 95%.
Well, Colorado, math is hard.
That appears to be the
Guessing a fake
nub
elk?
of an antler. Yeah.
Hopefully it's fake.
It definitely seems to be fake. That'd be
Okay.
pretty gangster if they put a real antler on there.
Heard lots of good things about the distillery.
Yeah, I know nothing about it actually.
I know nothing about it. We're doing this as a total blind, out of the blue kind of thing.
Is this sourced, or is this their own?
No, it's their own.
Oh, cool.
So they stole a master distiller from a big distillery. He's got like,
Against his will, or?
well, I think they paid him a large
Okay.
truck of money and said, come live
A
in
hell of a
Colorado.
pour you got there.
And sorry.
It's your whiskey.
And so they bribed this guy with a lot of money to go to Fort Collins, Colorado, maybe?
Oh, sure.
Wherever it is, somewhere in Colorado, and make whiskey. And so he did that. And so hopefully it's good.
Where are we at for the proof point here?
Proof point is 90-ish.
100.
And by
Yeah, 100.
90,
Jeez, I can't read. By 90, you mean 100?
Yeah, exactly.
You're just a little off on the numbers today.
well, Colorado. There's some jokes to be made there, but I'll be polite.
Let's not isolate our Colorado viewers.
Exactly.
Ooh, it smells really nice.
What do I get? Like, it's got a really nice aroma, and I can't identify a single note out of it.
I'm kind of having that too, actually. It's got, it has, and maybe this is just because I know it's a wheat whiskey, but it has that, like the kind of notes you get from a wheated bourbon. Mm-hmm. A little bit bready, maybe. But there's almost a little bit of a pepper to it.
Yeah.
Like there's a little spice there that I don't know I would have guessed on a
Yeah.
almost exclusively wheat.
Yeah. A little bit of like the fresh baked bread, kind of like the burnt crust kind of note from bread.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it.
And a little bit of brown sugar, some caramel kind of notes. I think it will be similar-ish to a bourbon, but the lack of corn has me concerned.
Yeah. Well, we did a wheat whiskey showdown, and we really liked both of them.
So Bernheim we did. That was a Heaven Hill product. It still is a Heaven Hill product. And it is amazing.
Yeah, and we did the Woodford wheat alongside
Correct.
that, and that was really good too.
But both of those, while they're 51% wheat at least, there is a lot of corn.
Okay.
This could be some different.
Yeah, I don't think I've had
Monster.
like a...
And while we recently did a review of a wheated bourbon, this is quite different.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go for it.
Let's do it. hair on me.
I think I'm on my way to Colorado.
Yeah?
I want to visit this distillery and learn more.
That's really good. Well, you could always just go buy more of their products too.
Well, it's hard to find. I was on a road trip and I got this in Idaho.
Yeah, this, to be honest, I don't really see this much around Minnesota.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't know if it's not sold here or if it's just not common. I almost want to say I have seen it, but it's not very... The place I remember seeing this for the first time out in the wild was at a gas station in California. Which is awesome because in Minnesota, we're not allowed to sell booze at gas stations.
Because...
I don't know. They just like to treat us like children, I guess.
You need a map to figure out the logic of that one.
I think we're the last state in the union that has that holdout. I think even Utah beat us to the punch on just finally letting,
Good
like
for
we can't
you.
buy booze at the grocery store. You can only designated liquor stores.
They just opened up Sundays.
Yeah, you couldn't buy booze on Sundays.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about Minnesota's terrible liquor laws.
That's right.
This is good. It's got a nice sweetness, but it has a little bit more of a spice than I would have.
And it's not
Thought.
a rye spice because there's no rye in it.
Right. Yeah, but so there's like a barrel spice to it.
Barrel spice. I wonder about the char because it's got a really nice, almost reddish color. Mm-hmm. Your lights may be playing some part in that.
Well, if you hold it up to the lights, it's got a deep, rich color to it for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's noticeable.
It does say 6 years. One interesting note, I was doing a little bit of the internet research earlier today, and it says 5 years on the website. This one, I actually have owned this bottle for a while, and this bottle says 6 years on the bottle.
So maybe they've changed that since then?
It could be. That's what I'm guessing is maybe this most recent release had to tap into some 5-year stuff.
Is this aged like a bourbon in a
New
charred?
New charred oak.
I don't know what the laws are on wheat whiskey.
It doesn't have to be, but plenty of
I would assume it's
reputable
kind of like a
distillers.
corn whiskey. Well, a corn whiskey has to be either used charred or new uncharred.
Right.
It's like the exact opposite in two directions.
I think this is essentially a bourbon, except instead of corn, it's wheat. Everything else seems to be about the same.
This is really nice. Like I said, it's got just such a nice barrel spice to it. It's got that kind of stingy sort of note. Not stingy in like an alcohol proof.
It's a peppery note. It's got a really good burn,
Yeah.
but it also has a really nice, smooth butterscotch kind of coat the tongue note. It has a caramely, butterscotchy kind of note.
Toffee maybe a
Yeah,
little bit, like
right.
that kind of category.
Yeah.
And then you said before brown sugar, it's got that kind of riding on top of all those. That's a really nice whiskey.
It is.
I like that.
I like it a lot.
Do you remember what the price was?
I was just wondering that, and I'm going to look it up because I don't want to misquote it.
Are you going to the World Wide Web to look up a price, or are you going to your own personal bourbon inventory, whiskey inventory?
I'm actually doing the database.
That's his personal inventory.
I paid $64.99 in Idaho State Liquor Store in Coeur d'Alene.
Oh, that was just this last summer?
Last summer, I guess,
Okay.
is when I got that, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely like to try more of their stuff.
Agreed.
I'm especially impressed that you said this is their own distillate and everything.
Sure seemed like it from the website.
Oh, nope. Distilled in Indiana.
Oh,
Bottled.
really?
Yeah. So props to MGP for their wheat whiskey making skills.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That website made that as obscure as could be.
Really?
I to be honest, I didn't look at the back of the barrel or the bottle.
Yeah. You know what's funny is like I don't mind when something's sourced at all, but it's kind of weird. Like, you should be upfront about that. And I guess it's on the bottle legally how it does. But like some distilleries will, and I'm
think
not
they-
saying that that's what they
No.
did, but some will come out and say, "Oh yeah, this is my
Produced
granddaddy's
by."
daddy's granddaddy's daddy's old recipe from the whatever river in the something," and
Yeah.
and then and it's like, no, this is sourced bourbon. It's like it. Don't try to claim your family history to it, but again, that's probably not what these guys did. It was just a little unclear on their website.
Yeah, I really was under the impression that they were doing it themselves.
Well, they're probably doing their own stuff, I would imagine, as most distilleries do,
Right.
even while they're sourcing. So at some point here,
Yeah, some of their other products, maybe their bourbons, they're doing themselves.
maybe they're 5-year, because you said you were reading on the website,
You're
it said
right.
5-year, and this one says 6-year. So then maybe this is a sourced one, maybe the 5-year one
I think you're onto something.
is their own, which would be cool to compare the two of
Then
those.
go
yeah.
get that. Yeah, go get a 5-year.
Yeah, well, this is a really nice kind of a nice surprise. I mean, not that I was expecting anything bad, but you never know. It's something a little bit different. I don't know if I've ever had a almost exclusively wheat whiskey before. And yeah, pleasantly surprised.
I am finally. So I watched a review very recently of a well-known bourbon guy. He talks about bourbon all the time, writes books, that kind of stuff, but I won't mention his name, just in case.
Does it sound like Schmed Schminnick?
Well, if you have a really bad speech impediment.
I mean, nobody's going to be able to figure out who that is, but you and I will be able to.
But he was reviewing a totally separate bourbon, but it was very high wheat. And he was, I apologize. He was reviewing a wheat whiskey.
Okay.
But not this one, a different wheat whiskey. And he said that wheat whiskey is hard. Like, sometimes it goes bad in the distillation process because of the flavor just goes kind of, off the rails. So it's really hard to do. And that's why this is so unique, being 95%.
Yeah.
So it really does need the corn to kind of balance it out usually.
I'm getting a really nice aftertaste on it too.
But he mentioned that one of the areas where that flavor can go, not bad, but just it does go that way, is bubblegum.
Really?
And I'm getting that a little bit. It's very subtle, but on the finish, there's a tiny
I'm
bit
all
of
out, and you still got a huge pour left. So I'm going to try just a little bit.
I mispoured.
No, it just means you're going to enjoy.
I am. The pink bubblegum, I'm getting just a little bit. And it's not a bad thing at all. I like the flavor. It's like just a subtle after flavor.
Yeah, I wouldn't have picked that out on my own. I was kind of noticing maybe some like cherry sweetness or some like red fruit sweetness, but really light with some vanilla, which we had recently on a different wheated bourbon that we did.
Sure.
But yeah, I can totally see that.
Which
doesn't sound like something you would normally pick out of a whiskey.
But it's not the finish, it's after the finish. And I acknowledge in the English language that doesn't work, but just go.
No, you know what it is? It's like you have the finish, and then after you sat for a couple seconds, it's like when you just run a little bit of air through your mouth.
Yeah.
Then you get these different flavors, and yeah, I can totally.
This is a perfect example of a conversational whiskey.
Yeah.
This is sit down with your friends and just have a good whiskey and have a good conversation where you make fun of the person to your left.
Well, if they're looking at it from this way, I'm on their right, so technically you're on my left to the,
Foiled again.
Yeah.
Perspective.
You're right. It is a good conversational whiskey. I mean, how long have we been talking about it now? I don't know what the timestamp is on this review, but
thanks for watching.
Yeah, this, you know what? I can actually, again, I don't know if I would have picked that out on my own. I was leaning more towards like maybe a little fruit.
Yeah.
But that is totally there. You know the bubble tape, the pink bubble tape with like that white dust on it?
The white dust. That makes it. Yes, I totally agree.
Oh my God, I can totally get that now.
This is amazing.
We've talked about the power of suggestion before.
Yeah.
Which is very real, but
I've got to find a source for another bottle of Old Elk. I want to try the regular bourbon now. So this is amazing. And the fact this comes from MGP, like I've actually been looking and starting to like seek out MGP products.
Oh yeah, they know what they're doing.
The reality is they're one of the older distillers.
Yeah. And their stuff is always good.
It is always good. And yeah, so I don't know where in my mind that whole source bourbon equals bad thing came from, but it took me a while to get over it, but I'm over it now.
See, I never really had that, but I think that was because when I first started getting into whiskey and watching reviews and stuff like that and learning about it, I saw some people that were talking about like, hey, there's nothing wrong with sourcing, just be honest about it.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking about a couple minutes ago, like don't try to, say this is some old family recipe and attach some, old family heritage thing to it. Like, just be honest. Like, we sourced this bourbon. Maybe we finished it with something. Maybe we chose a blending of barrels or a single barrel or whatever you did to make it your own. Or maybe you didn't make it your own. Maybe you just said, this is the profile we're looking for that we're distilling and aging on our own.
Yep.
And so we want to start out our whiskey company with some source stuff. But yeah, just be honest about it.
Yeah, totally agree.
So, all right, well, this has been Old Elk Wheat Whiskey on the Bourbon Note. And Ben?
I'm Greg. Cheers.